Have you ever sat down to rest, and before your body even relaxed, a quiet guilt showed up? Not because you forgot something important, not because someone told you to get back to work, but because something inside you felt wrong for stopping. That feeling isn't laziness, and it isn't a lack of discipline. It's your brain doing exactly what it was trained to do. Most people think guilt is something you feel after you make a mistake, but rest guilt is different. It appears before anything goes wrong. You sit down, you slow down, and your mind immediately starts searching for a reason you shouldn't. You think about unfinished tasks, about people who are working harder, about time slipping away. Your body is still, but your nervous system is not. And that's because, for many people, rest doesn't feel neutral. It feels unsafe. Somewhere along the way, your brain learned a quiet rule, that movement equals safety, and stillness equals risk. This rule doesn't come from logic. It comes from repetition, from being praised for doing, but not for resting, from feeling valuable when you were useful, and invisible when you weren't. Over time, productivity stopped being something you did. It became something you were. And once that happens, stopping doesn't feel like a break. It feels like losing your place. So when you rest, your brain doesn't think, "Good, we're recovering." It thinks, "We're falling behind." That panic you feel isn't a moral judgment. It's an alert. Because your nervous system doesn't ask, "Do we deserve rest?" It asks, "Are we safe right now?" And if your safety once depended on staying alert, useful or needed, then rest triggers the opposite signal. Your body slows down, and your brain speeds up. This is why rest guilt often comes with restlessness. You scroll your phone. You clean something that doesn't need cleaning. You multitask relaxation, because complete stillness removes distraction. And when distraction disappears, unprocessed emotion has space to surface. Modern life rarely allows that. So instead of learning how to rest, many people learned how to avoid resting deeply. They learned how to pause without stopping, to sit without relaxing, to take a break while staying mentally on guard. That's not recovery. That's surveillance. And it's exhausting. What makes this worse is the culture surrounding you. A culture that treats exhaustion like a badge of honor. That equates worth with output. That praises being busy more than being well. In that environment, rest doesn't just feel unnecessary, it feels suspicious. If you're not tired, are you even trying? If you're not overwhelmed, are you falling behind? These ideas don't shout. They whisper. They slip into how you evaluate yourself. So when you finally stop moving, your brain checks the rules it learned. And according to those rules, rest looks like a mistake. But here's what rarely gets said. Your brain did not evolve for this world. It evolved to survive uncertainty, to stay alert when things go quiet, to scan for danger in the absence of noise. In the past, stillness often meant vulnerability. And even though your environment has changed, your nervous system hasn't caught up. So when external pressure disappears, internal pressure rushes in to fill the gap. That's why guilt often shows up the moment you slow down. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your brain is no longer distracted. Rest removes stimulation, and stimulation was masking stress. Once it's gone, your nervous system starts talking. And guilt is one of the languages it uses. Not to punish you, but to keep you moving. Because movement once meant survival. This is why telling yourself to just relax rarely works. Because guilt isn't a thought you can argue with. It's a bodily response. It lives below logic. You can know, intellectually, that rest is healthy, and still feel uneasy when you take it. Because knowing something is safe is not the same as feeling safe. And safety is a nervous system experience, not a mental one. Many people confuse this guilt with motivation. They think it's the thing pushing them forward, the thing keeping them productive. But guilt doesn't create sustainable motivation. It creates pressure. And pressure eventually turns into burnout. When rest feels unsafe, your system never fully recovers. You sleep, but don't feel rested. You take time off, but feel tense. You slow down, but don't feel calm. Because rest isn't just about stopping activity. It's about allowing safety. And safety has to be learned. This is why some people feel calmer in chaos than in peace. Why they function better during crisis. Why silence makes them uneasy. Their nervous system recognizes stress. It knows how to operate there. Calm, on the other hand, feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar doesn't feel safe. So guilt appears as a way to return to what the system knows. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means you adapted. At some point, being alert mattered. Being useful mattered. Being needed mattered. Your brain learned that rest was optional, but responsibility was not, and it held on to that lesson. The problem is that lessons learned for survival don't always translate well to modern life. What once protected you can now drain you. So when guilt shows up during rest, it's not asking you to do more. It's asking for reassurance. It's asking to be shown that nothing bad happens when you slow down. That safety doesn't disappear when you stop performing. This is why rest guilt doesn't disappear overnight. And it doesn't disappear through force. It fades through repetition. Through moments of rest that don't end in disaster. Through stillness that doesn't lead to rejection. Through pauses that don't cost you your value. Each time you rest and remain safe, your nervous system updates its expectations, slowly, quietly, without dramatic breakthroughs. This process isn't about earning rest. Because the idea that rest must be earned is the very belief creating the guilt. Rest isn't a reward for productivity. It's a requirement for regulation. And your brain doesn't need convincing speeches. It needs evidence. Evidence that rest is not abandonment, not failure, not danger, just neutrality. And eventually, safety. So the next time you sit down to rest and that familiar guilt appears, don't rush to silence it. Don't judge it. Don't obey it either. Just notice it. Notice that it arrives automatically. That it doesn't ask permission. That it doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means your brain is doing what it learned to do. And learning can change. Not through pressure, but through patience. Rest isn't something you master. It's something your nervous system relearns. And the fact that it feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's new. And new takes time.